Hello, and welcome to the Sacred Path podcast. I am your host, Priscilla Bernstein, the Soul Alignment Specialist. And in this podcast, we will literally be talking about all things of the soul journey. So, whether that be your spiritual path, sacred plant medicines, healing, transformation, sacred sexuality, divine union, soul alignment, manifestations, and so much more. We are literally covering it all, and we are going deep, 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 as well as far and wide. We are really going to be quantum jumping and helping you understand not only what it means to be living in your sovereignty and within your divine self, but what it means to actually live a life on purpose and a life of fulfillment while you are following your soul purpose and soul mission in this life. So get ready, buckle up, enjoy the episode, and we'll see you on the other side. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Sacred Path. So this is something that's been coming through a lot lately from my guides and angels, from the collective consciousness, from source energy, that I really wanted to talk about and share with you all. We are going through a massive ascension phase right now, and this is really important because there is so much happening, not only on a cellular level within us, but on an energetic level, on a spiritual level, on a physical level, and within the quote unquote ethers, if you will, the different planes and dimensions of reality. So not only do we have a super full blue moon in Aquarius tonight, which is really powerful and just like such a beautiful energy to not only be manifesting in, but this is an amazing energy to really anchor in and understand the trajectory in which we are going, in which we want to go, in the legacy that we're building. And like this energy being in Aquarius, the moon being in Aquarius, is actually supporting us in revolutionary change, in having paradigm shifts that will help us really change the trajectory of our lives. And so this message that keeps coming through is so important for us to not only get clear on what it is that we want, but to understand who it is that we need to be in order to reclaim our sovereignty, to reclaim our power, to really step into the beingness of who we are meant to be moving forward, right? So in manifestation, we talk a lot about you have to believe it before you see it, and you have to become it before it creates in your physical reality, right? So you literally, it's not about faking it till you make it. It's really about becoming an energetic match, or becoming fully aligned with what it is that you are creating or wanting to manifest in your reality. So when we talk about this, the ideas that your mind, your body, your spirit, and the ultimate your words, your thoughts, and your action, they all have to be aligned and in harmonic resonance with what it is that you are creating and what it is that you are stepping into and wanting to manifest and create in the physical reality, who you're wanting to become, right? You have to actually become that person and embody that beingness, that energy, before it can actually become fully integrated and embodied, and you are transformed into it. Okay, this, when I talk about this, it can kind of go over your head a little bit, and you can cognitively understand it, but to actually really do this on a day-to-day physical reality is a little bit more difficult, or a little harder, right? So the ways in which we do this is, number one, really looking at our belief systems. What you believe, you will create, period. So if you believe that money is hard to make, guess what? Money will be hard to make. If you believe that it is hard in this world is hard and ultimately a bad place, guess what? You're going to continue to be shown that this world is hard and life is hard, and this is, a harsh place to live, right? A harsh reality. So when we align and start to tell ourselves that things are easy, that it is easy to make money, that it is this, everything's always working out for me. These things are affirmations and they seem like they don't have a lot of clout, but the more that you say this stuff and the more that you actually start to anchor it in and believe it, guess what? Life gets easier, things get easier, money gets easier, love gets easier, all of it gets easier, right? So what we think we are actually creating, what we say and speak into existence is naturally spell casting. So our thoughts, our words, and our actions all have to come into alignment. And when we have limiting beliefs or things that have been programmed within us that we have either been raised with or has been passed down to us through generations, through our ancestors, through just our parents and our caretakers, right? We have to reparent that stuff. We have to rewrite those programs within us. We have to heal the trauma or anything in which that was created, the roots of which that was created. And so when we can go through and actually take the time to heal ourselves, to look at the traumas and the wounds that have been passed down to us, and to really understand what our belief systems are and who we are being in this world based on our belief systems, this is really the inner work that we're doing. This is really what we have to do in order to rewrite our belief systems. We have to look at where our limiting beliefs are, where we need to be reparented, where we still have trauma that we need to heal that is keeping us locked or stuck in our past and continuing to keep us not only in a somatic loop, but in a neural loop that keeps us in that lack energy, in scarcity, in worry, in fear, in playing small. So when we look at this stuff, when we're really understanding not only who we are and how we have to be in the world based on our beliefs, when we start to work on our belief system, we can then start to build upon that and look at our self-concept, how we look at ourselves, how we view ourselves in the world. If we actually believe the things that we are saying, that we are selling, that we are speaking into existence, when it comes to sharing our medicine, when it comes to even manifestation, when it comes to anything that we're doing in the world, you have to feel confident in that. And when you feel confident, like I said, it's not about fake it till you make it anymore. It's about it's all a game of alignment now. It's all about really aligning to who this version of you has to be in order to have the things that you want, in order to create the things that you want, and in order to be seen in the way that you want to be seen. You have to believe it first. If you don't believe in yourself wholeheartedly and with 100% conviction, then other people aren't going to believe you. Maybe some people will, but the majority and the masses will not believe in you until you've really anchored that in not only your own self-concept, but your value and your worth in the world. These three things are intrinsically tied together. And so when we are looking and working at our self-concept, we are looking at our self-worth and our value in what it is that we are offering to the world. All of this stuff, once it's anchored in and embodied, and you have really understood who you are at a core level, who energetically you are and what you contribute to the world, and you can see yourself through the eyes of quote unquote God or source, through the eyes of unconditional love, and understand that that is your souls and genetics and your imprint, your essence, right? And so when you really begin to understand that and you can begin to embody that and integrate it into your day-to-day reality, you may have to tell yourself this, you may have to look in the mirror and do mirror work and really amp yourself up. But the more that you really anchor into it, the more that you live it, the more that you embody it, the more it gets integrated into your cellular DNA. And so as a collective, we are all being amplified. We are all being really pushed into this path of ascension, into this path of awakening, into this path of remembering ourselves and who we are, why we came here, what our essence is, what we're here to quote unquote do, our AKA purpose, and why we have come to earth at this time. This is one of the most influential times in human history. The amount of downloads and messages that I've gotten about this is actually the most exciting time to be alive. And we are here for a reason, right? And so if you have felt lost, if you have felt listless, if you have felt anxious and worried about what it is that you're here to do, or, like you just feel like you are in limbo because you've either outgrown what it was that you were doing, or you're no longer in alignment with it, and yet what you feel like you're meant to do isn't quite here yet, or hasn't quite solidified or been shown to you, that is a perfect place to be. This is your time to be open, to be in this exploration and adventurous energy, to really look at things from this higher perspective of saying, hey, I'm just along for the ride, and I'm going to enjoy that ride. And as I enjoy that ride, I'm going to have as much fun as possible. And so this is your opportunity and invitation to only go and do things that are really you are feeling attracted to, that you are feeling drawn to, that you are feeling in alignment with, that make that bring out the joy, that spark that life within you. As we do this, we like to say, pleasure is the path in my world. And that was given to me by one of my clients. But it really is like an amazing hashtag, pleasure is the path. It's just something to continue to keep reminding yourself that when you follow the things that light you up, that bring you joy and bring you pleasure, you will never be led astray. This is not to say that you are going down this hedonistic path and this path of like, going balls to the wall and something that you enjoy, right? Everything in moderation, but really listening to your intuition, really listening to that inner guidance, your INS system. If you haven't listened to that episode about being intuitively led, please go listen to that. But this is really about following that divine guidance and your INS, your internal navigation system, listening to your body, listening to your heart calls, understanding what it is that you're being called to. And you don't even have to know why you're being called to it or how it's going to work out. But if you just follow that, if you say yes to that, if you get behind that and are like, cool, let's do this, the providence will move too, and your guides and angels will be on your side. Things will start to fall into place. Things will start to align. It literally doesn't take a lot of work or a lot of pushing. It is you becoming more and more aligned with your soul and with your soul calls every time you follow that heart path, every time you say yes to the things that bring you joy and light you up, every time you stop overthinking and you just say, I don't know why, but I feel very called and drawn to do this, or to talk to this person, or to go do that, and go check out this place, or move to this place, or go after this job, right? If you're following that intuition or guidance, guess what? It may not all work out the way you think it will, but the dots will start to connect and you will be led exactly to where you need to be. Okay, so that in and of itself is the divine sacred path. When we're following our sacred path, we don't know what's around every corner. We're following the breadcrumbs. We're allowing ourselves to really pick things up as they intuitively or spiritually are dropped into our field or into our consciousness, right? Whether that is signs and synchronicities, messages, intuitive hits, whether that is, divine guidance, however you're receiving this is the breadcrumbs that you're getting from the universe. And when we're following these breadcrumbs, we're living and we're following and saying yes to our pleasure, right? To the things that light us up, that bring us joy, that we're feeling called to. This is the sacred path. This is you being on track and getting into alignment, and your spirit team and your guides and angels, the universe and source energy and everything is actually bringing you all that you need. Your higher self, your inner child, everything is working in tandem together to help you understand your next steps and what's next. We just have to get out of our human self, our cognitive logical brain, long enough to continue to say yes to these things, to continue to believe it before we see it, to continue to keep embodying that version of ourselves that we need to be in order to fully anchor in and let everything else drop in from the universe, right? That's how we make these quantum jumps. That's how we make these leaps into these evolutionary leaps into this next version of ourselves that we are here to be, right? And so there is so much that I could go through in this, and I don't want to make this crazy long, but in the grand scheme of things here, we really want, with this full blue moon energy, to really anchor in and get clear on what it is that we are wanting. If you have already done manifesting and gotten clear on that with the 888 portal, Lionsgate portal that happened on August 8th. This is amazing. This is just more momentum building up behind you, right? But if you haven't done any work with the Lionsgate portal, this is your time to really anchor in and say, this is what I want. This is what I don't want. What I do want is this, this, and this, and how I want to feel is this way, and this way, right? And so when you're really clear on what you don't want, you can be more clear on what you do want. And as you go after, if you don't actually know what you want, if you're aligned with the energy of what you want to feel free, you want to have, expendable income to be able to do what you want. That's freedom, right? Money, freedom of time, freedom of what it is that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. You can just say, I want freedom in all places of my life, right? So you focus on the feeling of what you want as opposed to the specifics if you don't know specifics. And it's okay not to know specifics, right? It's okay to be in that I don't know mind. But actually, when you get really clear on what you don't want, it's easier to understand what you do want. And if you don't understand on a detailed level what you do want, always focus on the feeling, okay? And so from there, the more focused you are and the more detailed you are on what you want a blueprint. You want to give the universe a blueprint. You don't want every single detail like down to the minutia, right? Because you can do that, but at the same time, you're not leaving a lot of room for magic. So it's not about how it comes in. It's really about the details of what it is you want to feel, what it is, the like values that you want, hit in that. And ultimately what you're wanting, there's a way in which you can look at this too, and you can really decipher why you want the things that you want. And when you look at the why, it really helps you to anchor in and understand not only your desire, but why it's coming up in the first place, right? And it's something that you can keep going back to when things start to get hard or they seem difficult or you're getting the roadblocks. You can say, well, this is why I want it. Right? This is why I asked for it in the first place. And when we look at our why, this is something that will keep us staying on that straight and narrow path to really continue to keep taking the steps forward and to not let our outside circumstances stall us out or make us change our mind. Because I can guarantee you, when it comes to manifestation, the universe will always throw you tests, will always throw you roadblocks, and will always really give you chance after chance to say, are you sure this is what you want? Are you sure this is what you want? And when you continue to say yes and you continue to be consistent, they will reward you. But they give you, if you look at your manifestation being like on a highway, they give you a lot of exit points to turn around. They give you roundabouts. So they may say like, hey, are you sure this is what you want? But if it's not for you, it will not land, period. What is meant for you will always land. So one way in which we can look at our manifestations when we're asking for things that we want, we can say, I want this thing. These are the details on what I want. These are the, aspects and the energy and the feeling of what I want with it. And if I can't have this, bring me something better, period. And that's where you can leave it. So you're giving the universe and your guides and angels the ability to say, hey, I really want this. It can be a person, it can be a living situation, it can be a career, it can be a thing. You can say, I really want this. And these are the reasons why I want it. These are the reasons why I even like this is just more stuff, but this can anchor in to you, into your body, and allow you to integrate the reason why you want it, helps you with the integration process and to really embody the version of yourself that needs to start to blossom in order to have that thing or that person or that place, right? So or that career or whatever it is that you're manifesting, right? So when we look at this thing and we're saying why we want it, if you all go a little bit further and you say, and these are the reasons why I deserve this, you're again anchoring in your value, your worth, and your self-concept. And so this is just an extra piece of the puzzle of you anchoring in why you are valuable and why you deserve this for just existing. It's not because you've done hard work. It's not because you're putting in 80 hours a week. It's not because of anything other than you are becoming aligned with it. And you are anchoring in and understanding and embodying and integrating your self-concept, your self-worth, and your value in this world by just existing, right? But it can be anything, it can be, I want this because I love the way it makes me feel when I'm around it. I want this because I love, okay, let's say this is a car that you're really wanting. And I'll speak for my personal what I want personally, right? So I am manifesting a G-Wagon, and I want this. My why for this is because one, when I have kids, I want a car that can literally withstand anything. Having a truck that didn't have four-wheel drive, there's four-wheel drive in that. It is literally military grade. It's got bulletproof windows. I mean, that thing is like, you wreck that and you're not going anywhere, right? Everybody's staying very safe. Plus, I love the sound of the engine. I love the look of it. Like, I've been vying for a G-Wagon since my like 20s. So, it's just been something that's been in my field for a very long time. And I just think they are beautiful, right? And so test driving it, getting in it, it's like you love the feel of it when you get in it. You love everything about it, the sound system, all of the things, right? So these are my whys of why I want it. And then I know that I'm deserving of it. I know that this is just the next step for me. I manifested my dream truck very easily and in a way that I could not have orchestrated myself. But at the same time, I, did it with ease. And it was amazing how quickly and easily and fast it came in, did everything in my circumstances align with it at that time? No, but it continued to grow. It continued to, come into my field, and I was able to continue to keep up, my payments and all the things, right? But it's like my whole world started to change soon thereafter, right? Because I was changing my self-concept. I was changing my value and my worth in the world, right? And so each time we do this, each time we level up, our desires level up with us, right? And so in me stating that this is what I want, and my ultimately why I want it, I've got all of those, and my value and self-worth is because I am innately like valued, and I deserve this because I've wanted this for 20 years and I still want it, right? Like, I'm just like, every time I see them now, it's just like, there's my car, there's my car, there's my car. Like, it's become regulated in my system. It doesn't feel out of reach to me anymore. And this in and of itself is an indication to me that I have up leveled. So when we align with something, when it has become embodied and integrated and regulated within our system as something that's not unreachable and something that is not intangible, right? it's like by owning that and saying, that's my car, period. And it's like it's like anchored in such a way at a cellular level that it's like it has to appear or manifest in my life in the near future because I'm claiming that that's my car, right? So I had to become this version of myself that ultimately felt worthy enough to have this car, to receive this car in whatever shape or form it wants to come in, right? Whether that's me going out and buying it, whether it's being gifted to me, whether I don't know how it's going to come in, right? If it's going to be some magical manifestation, like how I manifested my truck with all these like crazy miraculous things orchestrating behind the scenes, I don't know, right? But what I do know is it's mine, period. And so I have become one with that manifestation already. And when we become one with the manifestation, that is us anchoring in, embodying, and integrating it. And when we've done that, we know not only our value and worth around that, but going back to that caveat, I had to become this person that really felt not only that I deserved that car, but that I was worthy of having it and keeping it. And that I've literally, over the last probably 4 or 5 months, have stepped into this new vibrational frequency, this new kind of blueprint of me who I have never been before. This has been catalyzing for over the last year, but in the last like 4 months, everything's really come online about like who I'm becoming, how I'm dressing, how I'm holding and carrying myself, the ways in which I am speaking now, painting my nails. I didn't paint my nails or use any sort of products like that for over 20 years because I was all natural, right? Um, but it was just like something in me one day. It was just like, I feel like I need to be dripping in gold and I feel like I need to start painting my nails. And the second I started painting my nails, I started growing them out and now I have long nails. I'm like, who am I right now? Because like, I am not who I was a year ago, damn straight, but at the same time, it's great. Like I have done so much work on embodying my divine feminine, and I'm really stepping into my goddess era. And so by stepping into my goddess era, it has really helped me anchor in not only into divine union within myself, balancing my masculine and feminine aspects, but understanding that I am innately valued and innately worthy of just having what I want because I claiming that, because I've reclaimed my sovereignty, because I've reclaimed my power, because I've become this version of myself who I am proud to be, who I love and inherently am just so in awe of. I am in awe of myself. And when you become in awe of yourself, guess what? Other people become in awe of you too. When the way that you view yourself is the way that other people will begin to view you. So it all goes back to inner work, to turning the mirror inward on yourself and to doing the work that needs to be done to heal, to reparent, to reprogram yourself, and to really work on your self-concept and understanding of your own value and worth in the world, right? And so the more that you do this and the further along you get, the more embodied you become, the more integrated you become in the work, in that new frequency. And so then it happens on a cellular level and on an energetic level first, but as the cells start to catalyze to that new frequency, the last place it shows up is in your physical reality. So what I went through over the last year was this catalyzation process. Like I literally shattered when I put my baby girl down, my dog Priya, who, if you know me personally and you ever met her, she was just a angel, like a true angel embodied. And she was the kindest, gentlest, most beautiful ride or die shadow I could have ever asked for. And she was a dream. And when I lost her, it literally shattered me into a million pieces. And that process had to happen in order for me to really filter through and understand all these versions of myself I had become over the years to fake it until I made it. And it was like her exit from my life was her telling me, hey, you don't need me anymore. You're here. You've got this. You are the person you are meant to be. Now you just have to become it. Now you just have to metamorphosize. So I cocooned. I didn't know exactly what was happening at this time, but I knew that I was shattering into a million pieces, and I knew that I needed time to heal. And so I literally cocooned and took 7 months off to do this. And I put everything else on the back burner and I just really gave to myself. And in this time, I filtered through all these versions of myself that I was, all the masks that I wore, all the hats that I wore, all the pieces of me that I had built up to stay quote unquote safe, or to not, to fit in, to not be made to seem crazy or outlandish or, outcasted, right? But in that, I wasn't being my true authentic self. And so by taking that 7 months and really just focusing on me, through that process, there was this whole catalyzation. So when we think about the metamorphosis of a butterfly, a caterpillar to a butterfly, the caterpillar eats and eats and eats and eats and eats, right? And that's what I was doing for the last 20 years on my spiritual path. I was just eating and eating and eating and eating all the information that I could possibly get, having these life experiences, eating more knowledge, just taking it all in the last 20 years. That's what I was doing. And then the caterpillar goes into its pupusa, creates its cocoon, and it literally disintegrates and turns into mush, to completely transform and metamorphosize into a butterfly. So it was this big fat squishy thing that ends up turning into this tiny little body and these huge wings. And then they have flight, right? And instead of eating leaves, they drink nectar. It's like they become a god, right? The nectar of the gods. They become a god, and they can float and fly, and they're these beautiful, they have these beautiful wings, and they travel and are just free. They're not stuck to walking anymore. And it is literally this kind of beautiful metaphor to this hero's journey, or to the spiritual journey and being on the sacred path, because you go through everything that's like of a lower dimension first. You have to walk and crawl before you can fly. You have to understand the lower level, right? And you have to ingest and eat and get all the information and knowledge that you can, and then you ascend. And so, on the spiritual path, we go through a lot of dark nights of the soul. We go through a lot of ascension processes. You have one big awakening in the beginning, and then you have little mini awakenings after that, and then you ascend each time after an awakening, right? And so, with this being said, what's really beautiful about this is we get to this point where, what I went through over 7 months, this catalyzation where I literally got turned into mush, and I just let myself heal. I just let myself do whatever I need to do in that cocoon, and I just gave to myself without outwardly worrying about anyone else. And so when we give ourselves that time, that spaciousness, I'm not saying anybody needs to take 7 months off, even though it sounds nice and most people can't do that. But at the same time, it was necessary for me, with the amount of energy work that I do with the collective and with my tribe and with my clients on a daily basis, that it's like I had to just give to myself. I had to isolate. I had to really just be in my own cocoon for a while. And so coming out of that, I felt so good, but it was like spirit said, no, 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 no. You're not meant to go out there and like just share and teach yet. Like you're not meant to be heard yet. People are going to see you. You just need to listen and become the witness now. And so over the last few months, since probably the beginning of the year, January, February till about now, over the last few months, it's like I've really come into my own. I've really started to metamorphosize into this new version of myself, not only wearing nail polish, but wearing more jewelry, wearing even a little bit more makeup, which I never really did before. Just lip stuff and eyeliner is all I ever have worn, but I just do that more consistently now, right? And mascara every day. And so doing that and then really, allowing myself to do the things that I want to do on a daily basis and not forcing myself to do anything that I don't want to do anymore. And really understanding and following that intuitive guidance on a daily basis. This is how I have led my life, but it's like I've gotten so turned off to the bullshit that I have like no filter for it anymore. It's just like, nope, out, done. That doesn't work for me. Thank you. And like I have stepped into this new version of myself that doesn't put up with bullshit, that doesn't allow that stuff to even filter into my reality now. Once it starts coming in, I nip it in the bud right away and we say nope and we clear it out right away, right? Like it literally gets ejected. And so that in and of itself is my own self-concept of like, I'm not available for the BS anymore. I'm not available to play on that level anymore. Like, this is what I'm available for. This is what I'm calling in. This is who I am. And so the way that I'm dressing is changing. The way my work ethic is changing. Like the version of myself that I was 6 months ago is different from the version of myself that I am now. The amount, I'm waking up earlier, I'm exercising super consistently, like I am like on my shit now. And I wasn't on my shit before, right? Like I was in so many different realms and I was trying to we're all trying to figure it out, right? But at the same time, we get to this point where, we have to understand what we don't want. And we have to literally tell ourselves, I am not available for this anymore. And you will get to a breaking point where you are no longer available for it. And so when you're no longer available for it, you have to let your guides and angels and the universe know that you're serious about not being available for it, because they will test you and they will keep bringing those things back into your life until you say, absolutely not, no fucking way, I'm done. And you raise yourself to a higher standard. And once you raise yourself to the higher standard, you catalyze that, you integrate that, you embody that, and it becomes you. Each and every level that you get to, this is the new version of yourself. And so on a cellular level, you will begin to start catalyzing. And then on a physical level, it will begin to start showing up in how you're presenting yourself. Things may start to change. You may feel this innate need to just like really, change your style, change your hair, change the way you're presenting yourself to the world. The way in which you speak may change, like there a lot of physical changes will happen, but that's the last place it usually happens, right? But when you are embodying this version of yourself that you need to be to really step into having what it is that you want to have, your whole dynamic will change. And you have to be on board for that change. So the more that you're on board for that change, the more that you're saying yes to that change, the more that you're actively making that change, the less the universe has to do it for you. And that's you stepping into your power and sovereignty. And so with all this being said, take this super full blue moon in Aquarius and take this time over the next 48 hours or after you listen to this. It really doesn't even matter if you hear this after the full moon, but really take the time, because we're going to be in this energy for a little while, because it's like we're really catalyzing into this Aquarian age. We're catalyzing into our most authentic selves. So it doesn't matter when you're listening to this. Get crystal clear about what you don't want, then start to get clear on what you do want, on how you want to feel. Do the inner work. Look at your self-concept, look at your value systems, look at your belief systems, because what we are creating, 90% of our reality is created from our our subconscious beliefs. And a lot of times those are limiting beliefs. So if you don't like your reality right now, then you need to start really looking at what's running in your subconscious mind. What beliefs have been programmed and implanted in you. And this takes a little bit of digging, but you can find it. And then you have to start reparenting yourself. You have to start rewiring the synapses of your brain to believe and think something different. And those grooves are going to be deep. So it's going to take time. It's going to take a little practice to keep bringing yourself out to the new belief system, to the new way of thinking, and to the new way of doing things. And the more that you do that, the easier it becomes, the deeper that groove gets, and the more that other record isn't played, the more that it will start to fall off. And when you're doing the inner work of reparenting and healing the trauma and any sort of wounding or roots where this came from, that in and of itself will help you continue to keep strengthening the groove in the new belief systems, in the new ways of thinking, in the new ways of doing. And so we have to do this consistently. But when you're doing this consistently, this work becomes just a way of being. You're like excited to be like, whoa, hold on, something's coming into my reality that I don't want. How did I create this? How did, like, let me look at this a little further. Because when we honor and take radical responsibility for what is being created in our lives, we really get to understand, hey, I still have issues. I still have things that I'm worried about, that I'm like living in scarcity or lack about. Hey, I still have a limiting belief around this, and this. Okay, let me clean that up, And the more that you do this, the more that you anchor in, the more that you integrate and embody this new version of yourself that is taking radical responsibility for everything that is coming into your reality, the more you will create, the more blessings and magic will be created in your life. Because really, this is what we are here to do on this sacred path. And within our soul journey is not only to evolve our soul and experience the most that we can experience, but we are meant to remember who the fuck we are at a soul level. We are meant to remember our essence. We are meant to come back home to ourselves. And by being your most authentic self, by healing your trauma, by looking at the programs that have been embedded in you and rewriting those programs and reparenting yourself and all the wounds that you have, you are literally bringing yourself back into wholeness. You're bringing yourself back into your most authentic truth. And when you do this regularly, when you're living in your most authentic truth, life becomes the most magical, beautiful place. And not only are you experiencing magic on a daily basis, but you are wondering kind of like, how did I get here and how does it get better than this? Because really, in the grand scheme of things, life becomes very, very beautiful and amazing. Okay. And this is available to everyone. We live in an infinite universe that is always expanding. And if you think that you are separate or apart from this, you are out of your mind. You are dead wrong. And this is your opportunity to realign back to your truth, to realign back to your source knowledge that you are here for a reason and that your innate value and worth is just by existing on this plane of not only consciousness, but this plane of reality at this time. on earth. And when you remember that and you do all this extra work that we were just talking about, that I just ran through, and you're taking that radical responsibility and you're stepping into your most authentic version of yourself, you're not hiding anymore, you will have everything that you want. You will create and manifest everything that you want, and it will happen with ease. Okay? So, to close, we are in an immensely powerful time on our planet, and this is your opportunity to revolutionize and change your whole paradigm, your whole reality, and your whole way of being in the world if you want a different life, if you want a different outcome, if you want a different way of existing. This is your time. This is your time. And every resource you could want is actually available to you. So tap into that limitlessness energy, tap into, the ethereal, to all that is and available to you, and ask it to start coming in, to start showing you, to start working with it. You have to ask your guides and angels to step in on your behalf. You have to ask them for support. They will continue to support you whether you're doing it or not, but they cannot step in on your behalf unless you're giving them permission. And so when you give them permission every day to work on your behalf and to align you to the things that are meant for you and to help you stay, aligned and in the right frequency, guess what? They will help you do that. And they will pull you out of things that you're not meant to be in. Or they will make things fall apart instantaneously to say, nope, this is not for you. You need to stay over here. Keep focusing on yourself. Everything else will align. It's really not that hard, but we overcomplicate things in a myriad of ways. So, with all that being said, please take this time after listening to this episode and over the next 24 hours, just sit down, look at all the things that you don't want anymore, what you're no longer available for, and then make a list of those. Then on another sheet of paper, make a list of all the things that you do want, get detailed about it. The more detailed and clear you are about what you want, the easier it is for spirit and the universe to bring it to you. And then you have to start understanding, look at your value, look at your self-worth, look at your self-concept around if you actually think these things are possible. Are you keeping them separate from you? If you're keeping them separate from you, you need to, again, believe it before you see it. Don't pay attention to your outside circumstances. You have to anchor that shit in so fucking hard and be delulu about it that it's yours until you embody it, until it becomes one with you. And once it's become one with you, it is just a matter of time before it is actualized. And lastly, from that, look at your why, understand your why, and then continue to anchor it back into because you're worthy, because you deserve it, and because you are innately valuable, right? Your self-concept needs to be tied to that. And when you do that, everything comes into alignment and you begin to catalyze who this new person is that you need to be in order to have the things that you want. You have to rise to the occasion. You have to become that version of you that has that. And when you do that, it's like it'll catalyze on its own, but you have to continue to do the work and say yes to that change, right? It'll catalyze on its own, but as you do that, it will start to become integrated and embodied and a part of you. Okay, guys, I hope this was super helpful. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This is such a powerful time on our planet, and we are evolving rapidly. We are ascending rapidly, and if you want to work with me in any capacity, please don't hesitate to reach out. I have new containers coming very, very soon, and I am so excited to share this new body of work with you all as I have stepped into a completely different version of me. I love you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Sacred Path podcast. It is always an honor and a pleasure to share the wisdom, knowledge, and insight that I have learned on my journey and that others have learned on theirs. So please tune in, share, like, and follow, give us a review, and if you would like to work with me in any capacity, please follow the link to my website and either choose a sacred offering on the website or send me a DM. Love you guys. Hope you have a wonderful day.